Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Helder, and I'm the Chief Product Officer at Neptune Software. I'll give you a few minutes just for everyone else to enter the room, since there's still some attendees coming in, and we'll start our presentation shortly. Meanwhile, while we wait, and I hope you can all see my screen, we will be, you can go and download the Neptune DXP 23 LTS version on the Neptune DXP portal. It's available right now for download, and you are able to do it right away, as you know, with 2 users and full capabilities from the get-go. So you can do that right away if you want to. And meanwhile, we'll just wait for a few more people to join us. You can see people still joining in, and we'll start very, very soon. Let's give it 2 more minutes, and then we can take it from there. So the duration of this webinar is going to be 1 hour. We're going to have space for questions and answers at the end. You are free to formulate your questions throughout the presentation, and I'll try to answer throughout the presentation or towards the end, of course. So feel free to do that. Very well. So let's start our presentation. So today we're here to talk about the Neptune DXP 23, the newest release of the Neptune DX platform, available now for download on the Neptune DXP portal for ACP edition and Open edition. So the Neptune DXP has a lot of very interesting new things that will for sure help you cover your goals and help you with the benefits that we want to bring on this release. And we believe that this release is the best release ever. And I know, and you know, that they've been with us for some time, that we always say that every year, and every year we mean it. This is a release that we're very proud of. This is a great effort from the entire team, from engineering, product, marketing, documentation, from all aspects that involve creating and wrapping a product that is our Neptune DXP. We are very proud of it, and I think we gave quite a few steps forwards on this release, and we've been able to solidify ourselves as in the no-code space for ACP and beyond. And we are doing it by giving you this super interesting release available. And I want to clarify what has been the focus of this release. So if you look back 1 year back, so Neptune DXP 22, the focus was on end user experience. So we had a lot of things that are towards the end users, the business people that you'll be utilizing the launchpads, mobile clients, and applications. So it's about customization, personalization, it's about user experience, it's about accessibility features with WCAG A and AA, 2.1 A on AA, where you're going to have all of these capabilities out of the box. This year, this release, we focus on caring for the developer team's productivity. So we have turned ourselves to really for the development teams, where we're focusing on bringing tools that are more even towards helping developer teams to work together, to work oriented by specific focus points, to be able to work and collaborate in a seamless way between the business people and the pro developers as well. And I think that everyone in this space speaks about this role of the business person versus the technical person. The way we see it and the way we've seen the market needing is that more and more this is a collaboration that has to happen, and for that the tools have to reflect that. That's what we've been focused on getting this transition between the no-code and low-code to work extremely well, and to make this as seamless as possible. Our product offering is divided today in three main areas. So the Neptune DXP is offered as modules, which is the SAP Edition and Open Edition. Then we have services that are available mainly through the Neptune DXP portal, but beyond that, we have Naia, our Neptune AI Assistant, which will be debuted here today, as well as the App Builder, Mobile Build service, and of course the Neptune DXP Cloud. Also, our offering has gone through utilizing what is called add-ons. Add-ons are plug-and-play tools, application solutions that are bolt-on into the SAP Edition and Open Edition in a way that enables us to continuously bring innovation over to our customers. We do it when we're thinking of a feature request that comes from you, from our partners and customers. We have to think it into holistically, how are we going to serve it in the most quick way, but also in the most effective way. So we think that when a feature request comes, we have to look and say, are we going to just run it as a service? If we think this is something that we need to iterate very quickly on, something that we can give you instant feedback on your feature requests, or something that we really want to push on a continuous innovation, continuous development way? Do we want to create versions of it and provide you as an add-on so you can run it directly on premise inside your runtime, inside your module of the SAP or the Open Edition? So we deploy it as an add-on. And last but not least, we need to think of, if none of the above will serve the need of the customer, then we're going to have it as part of the module, part of the product. And that's through the download of the runtime. The way we are, this product strategy aims to provide you, customers and partners, a faster deployment of innovation, guarantee you less upgrades, less operations that you have to do in order to be able to run newer things, and also that this becomes a lot more interactive. And I think the Neptune DXP is a reflect of that. We hear and we're listening to what you as a customer needs and wants, and we want to provide in the end more value in less time. So the services will run as a continuous innovation. The add-ons will run where you can upgrade the version of the add-on through the marketplace seamlessly, regardless of the version that you'll be running on the module, on the DXP ACP Edition or the DXP Open Edition. But also in the end, if there are things that should be in the core of the product, then we deliver it as part of the lifecycle. Speaking of lifecycle, it's also, I would like to highlight that on the DXP 22, we had a slightly different approach. Typically, you would have what so-called support patches, and the support patches are bug fixes that comes as new patches, new versions that you download from the DXP portal. In there, we have done it for the ACP Edition. We kept that traditionally, so we have one release a year, and then we have support patches with bug fixes, but we did something different on the Open Edition throughout the DXP 22. So what we've created is not just support package, we created innovation packages. And innovation packages provide you new tools, new functionality out of the box throughout the year. And that was because we wanted to introduce other kind of concepts throughout 22 that are now the foundation of the DXP 23 on the Open Edition. So what are they? A lot of these innovation packages brought more development tools for governance. We started with OpenAI integration as well. We provided advanced CSS capabilities and also script streaming. All of this are the baseline of what we have now delivered on 23. But we should also go back in time and tell you that what we are going to do now, or in this case, go forward in time. How are we going to do the release timeline for 23 is that we're going back to support patches. So we are not bringing innovation on the SAP edition, on the Open edition as support patches. All the innovation that you'll have from now, it will come through services and add-ons. But what were the promises we had made when we communicated the roadmap for the DXP23? We spoke about SAP Event Mesh, or SAP BTP. We spoke about how we was going to change content management using Azure blobs. We wanted to bring a advanced version of the app designer, more features here that are no-code features. We wanted to bring smart UI components. We wanted to bring AI assisted tools, more SAP BTP services, such as the identity provider, integration layer, work zone. And we wanted to also being able to have the SAP edition fully compliant with Git based. So a new way that would allow us to bring full solutions with a modern approach to software development. So making the SAP edition compatible with ABAP Git. We'll go into details into every single one of these, but what we promised was this. What have we delivered? We delivered SAP BTP better integration with these services. We have optimized the performance on files usage using Azure Blob and files and also the existing database access. We provide you a lot more features within the app designer that will rocket fuel your team's productivity on the development side. We gave you more governance tools. We gave you Naia, our AI assistant, as well. And we have delivered SAP edition fully compatible with ABAP Git. Overall, we did 400 plus changes to the product in order to bring you and serve you this DXP23 LTS. And as I said, we're very proud of it. And the key takeaways, if you're a complete non-technical person, is that we are provide you a path to run on SAP Public Cloud that we started building on it. We provide you SAP BTP integration of different services. We understand that the majority of the SAP customers are running on an S4 transition. We want to be de facto the sidecar for this transition starting now, not in the promise of the future, by bringing you tooling that will simplify and also streamline and shorten the time frame for you to go to S4. Objectively, this is not just a PowerPoint. The goal is for our tools to be able to bring you innovation now that will be able to endure into an S4 transition and perpetuate the usage of Neptune within that context. So one of the things there, out of the box, SAP identity authentication. We have a lot of guides and documentation on how to onboard different services of BTP, and we have onboarded services of BTP. Again, all of this will go further into more detail. Another one of these three pillars will be productivity, CI/CD for development teams. And we're doing that by the ABAP Git integration, by SAP Edition now supporting TypeScript. Also, a new ProCode editor version of the ProCode editor, Monaco editor, also on the SAP Edition, with a lot of completions and everything. We're going to see some that in practice. Naia, Neptune AI Assistant, in order to automate a lot of the things that developers have to do, but not necessarily like to do. So we can automate a lot of those tasks and simplify them, obviously with some AI behind it. In this case, Microsoft Azure AI behind it. And then we see as Neptune DXP as a perfect platform for building entire solutions. We have partners that have built solutions on top of it. I would say the point of sale system, for example, or a suite of applications for logistics, for warehouse management, for supply chain, or portals, or maintenance suite of applications. So all of which can show you that. And you can find them on the Neptune Marketplace. Where can you find the Marketplace? Neptune DXP portal, and also directly on your runtime. So we believe that what we've come together is a better support for building even more DXP, full DXP solutions. And I'll explain that in detail. So the marketplace is the hub for delivering all of these solutions, is the hub where customers can go and find these solutions as well, and also partners can commercialize their solutions. And for that, we were looking into what kind of improvements must we do in the product in order to provide solutions that give you not only good applications, but also performance. So we thought that one way is to plug into a content management solution from Azure with Azure Blob directly embedded into the core of the platform. And this is, of course, optional. I'll show you the benefits of it as well. But the point is that in the end, you are able to have a out-of-the-box platform that runs faster, simpler, and gives you value in shorter time frame. So let's start on the first pillar there, SAP BTP integration. So on the authentication level, we have SAP Cloud Identity Service, SAP Cloud Connector. We have published now into our docs tutorials that show you exactly how to set this up. How can this work outside of the box with Neptune? It's also important that to underlay that we have a full compatibility with SAP Build Work Zone and SAP Fiori Launchpad, saying that the applications that we build with Neptune can run seamlessly inside Build Work Zone and Fiori Launchpad. So regardless of how you want to develop custom applications that seamlessly integrate with the standard applications, Neptune is the way to do it. Also, in terms of integration with SAP Business Accelerator Hub, the new name for the API Business Hub, and also SAP Event Mesh. How does on-premise communicate with cloud? Full compatibility with that as well. In terms of other things we are delivering here is that we are providing you very soon through the marketplace a combination of a tutorial and a product that allows you to run automated testing for web applications. So your front-end applications can be fully automated testing. We have extensively used this internally into our development pipeline, and we want to bring you those best practices. How can you do automated testing easily using, in this case, a third-party tool called WebDriver.io? And also using another third-party tool, Browser Stack, how can you do mobile client testing without having physical devices? That's all something that we also use internally extensively into the building of our product and testing the outputs of our product. And we want to share these best practices out with you, with the market, so that customers and partners can utilize this outside of the box. There was a question here about SAP Build apps. Can we use now in 2023? Build apps are not UI5. Build apps are React-based applications. What I'm saying there is that the Build Work Zone, you can run Neptune applications in there, which are UI5-based applications, Fiori applications. The SAP Build apps have nothing to do with this. No, we cannot use SAP Build applications, and we will not be able to change SAP Build applications. But one thing that we have in 23 is that you can bring your own Fiori applications, standard or custom, import them into Neptune using Naia, and you can therefore go into a highly governed standardization process of building Fiori applications with Neptune that come straight from your projects that you have done for custom applications. And of course, as all Neptune applications, they will run faster. They will be able to run mobile. They'll be able to run offline as well. So think of a standard Fiori app that you want to have in here and make them mobile, make them offline. With Neptune, you can do that, and you can still govern the custom development of that application at a fraction of the time and cost that will take you, and knowledge that will take you doing it with the SAP tooling. Going forward here, performance optimization. We spoke about customer to be able to use files, and when we say files, What are they? Typically, you're going to know this as part of the media library. A lot of resources are put in there. This is being today stored on the database. The same thing as when you print a PDF that is made with the PDF designer, that print will be stored on the archive. That's done on the database. When you generate a mobile client, a APK file or IPA file, that will be also stored on the database. We saw this as one thing that we could improve upon. So what we have done is that we have added not one, but two other options. The two other options is that you can start as out of the box with the database. You can add your credentials of Microsoft Azure there, and you can select which one of these tools will be using which service. You can have, for example, the PDF designer using the database, you can have the media library using Azure Blob, and you can use the mobile client using the file system. We want to give you options so that we can fit any kind of architectural approach that you might want or need. And therefore, this will increase the performance because Azure Blob is a lot more performant than using, for example, the database. So the retrieval of media files for your launchpads, for your mobile clients, everything will be faster, for example, if you use Azure Blob. As a giveaway, our app builder, our no-code tooling that's resident service that is resident on the Neptune DXP portal is using Azure Blob already for over a year to store everything from media library files to actually the thumbnail pictures that are taken from the applications for those miniature on the left-hand side. So we saw that there was a huge upside of using Azure Blob for media. So we have incorporated that straight into the settings as well. There's a question here, can I convert ACP Fiori legacy apps to Neptune apps? Yes, you can. Of course you can. And that's something that is an automation out of the box from Naia. I'll show you that in practice at the very end. Before that, we need to go through all the other things. So ACP and Git, and why this was at the center of this approach. And what is ABAP Git? So ABAP Git is a Git client for ABAP development done in ABAP. So you can get, this is a, why is this relevant? This is a open source project that is supported by Neptune and also supported by ACP. Why is this relevant for any ACP customer and why you should really look into ABAP Git is because if you want to take your ABAP code into ABAP Cloud, for example, the way that ACP allows you to do that is by using ABAP Git. So ABAP Git is an open source project that we've been collaborated extensively throughout the last few years. And this is something we'll continue to do because we really see the upside of doing it. And what does it do is that you allow you to import code between ABAP systems using a Git code repository. What is the upside of this compared to, for example, using ACP transports? Well, automated testing is the key. This is what we use on our core when we're doing ACP edition development, is that every night we have a job that runs all the automated testing on the work we have done throughout the day. That is run on GitHub. But we can. This is also compatible, of course, with Gitbucket and GitLabs, any form of Git, and of course, Git on-premise, where you are able to run automated testing. You have full visibility over the entire code, and you run the automated testing on that. You can also run automated testing for web applications in this process. So you can verify your front end as well as your backend in one process. And what we have done by incorporating ABAP Git is that we have incorporated all the artifacts that you can create with Neptune into side by side using the packages of SAP with standard SAP. As you can see here, there's now on the XP23 a new tool called Packages Overview. And the Packages Overview gives you by development package ability to see what are the Neptune artifacts and what are the ACP artifacts, but they will basically be at Git level, same repository. So this allows you to have complete solutions that are both front end and back end with ACP artifacts as well as Neptune artifacts combined in one repository. And that's why this is so important, that you can then now run not only automated testing for ACP things, but you can run automated testing for Neptune things. More interesting even than this is because we will become part of the Git world. And what is already on the Git world is that, and here's an idea. So here you have a small video that shows you start having a SC80, you can see the package. Now you assign a application to a development package. This development package will automatically add to the package, and when you save, you are going to go into the tool, to the package overview, and you can see that you have a combination of Neptune artifacts with ACP artifacts. And here you have the view of above Git that runs embedded in the GUI, where you can see that basically you have a combination of that, and you can even see differences, everything in one single place for ACP and Neptune things. Of course, this will simplify and automate your DevOps for solutions based on Neptune. And also, what this means is that you can now have Git repositories that both have ACP edition artifacts, ACP artifacts, and also open edition artifacts. So when I mentioned that you have the full DXP solutions, that's what I meant. You can have one repository where the marketplace will deploy the ACP edition artifacts and ACP artifacts in one go. It will deploy the open edition artifacts to the open edition runtime. And in the end, you can have a full solution, a full DXP solution in a modern way of development that both combines ACP edition, open edition, and ACP artifacts all in one place, one repo, and you can have automated testing on it. So this is the baseline of full DXP solutions that hopefully will come through the market by our partners. And of course, as a customer, you can also deploy privately through the marketplace full DXP solutions. As I said in the beginning, we focus on developer tools, developer productivity. The app designer is typically the home turf for all of the developers that are pro developers using no-code tooling to increase their productivity. So we have done a few things here. So there is, for ACP edition and open edition, new component icons. The new component icons are available right now in dark mode and light mode. You're going to have a build mode and the preview mode. And the build mode is quite effective because it allows you to reduce the effort of maintaining an application and also developing. And I'll show that live. Now embedded into the tools and on the cockpit, you have the documentation search. The documentation at the same search as you have on docs, you have it embedded into the tools so that you can get answer to your needs much faster. You can query there, you can query Naia as well. There is a automation called Chat with Naia where you can ask anything about Neptune and they'll be able to answer you as well. And this includes the entire documentation is part of that corpus. So it will be able to help you with documentation. How we do things, or how should you do things in Neptune. But it's also embedded into the tool straight away. Another thing is that now with the XP23, at the same time, we release the entire documentation fully updated for the XP23 at the same time as the release, which is something quite good when you are exploring the new tooling. We have made easier to maintain the application by having a filter that allows you just to see what attributes, and I'm here on the right-hand side, just the attributes that are being maintained. We have simplified the attributes, so we thought of onboarding. So how do you onboard people to UI5 by giving them visual description of how the attributes look like? Here's an example for style plus margin. We have made easy as well for no-code artifacts built with App Builder, the Form Designer, or the Adaptive Designer can go straight into the applications. So we have made available custom components and code snippets to do that very simply so that you can have a application divided into fragments where these fragments can be maintained by known coders, making everything seamlessly working. We have also search by components, attributes, and values. This should help you finding what on this application, how many, what are the buttons that exist. So you put the name of the component you want, the attribute on that component, and the value of that attribute, and it will find you the component. So quicker maintenance of applications. On the ACP edition, you have the multimodal is available, as well as deep nesting without the multimodal available. So we can cater easily for OData and ABAP sources that are deep nested. Also available, we have the connectors. The abstraction layer that was being used for the adaptive framework is now available as a drag and drop resource on the app designer. So you can abstract server scripts, API calls, all the different CRUD methods using the connectors. So the connectors throughout 24 will be part of this abstraction layer between APIs and development. So we're going to invest on it as well. And last but not least, the AI assisted development with Naia, with a lot of automations, and we'll go through in detail that going towards the end. Here is an example of the build mode. So the build mode is active. You have the preview mode and the build mode. What's the difference? You don't need to activate. You can just select different pages, dialogues, pop-ups, everything, and you can maintain it without having to actually navigate specifically to that page. So as you can see here, we're copy pasting some components from one page to the other one. You can see immediately being rendered. So all the changes are effectively done without the need to actually activate, make a change, activate. It's done immediately live. I'm going to the next one. Also here, the Monaco editor. For example, we have here all the completion. So if you put, like, for example, a model master list, you have a model source that comes from the ABAP. So you can actually go through the entire model source directly on the editor, on the ACP edition. So it shows you all the dictionaries. You can pick the definition to understand where it comes from the ABAP side. So it allows you to really go deeper into the pro code side. So as you say, our low code is not a low code for business developers. Our low code is a productivity tool for pro developers. Here is also the code snippets that have been revamped. And with every single code snippet, you'll have embedded documentation as well. They've been aggregated in different ways, but they also are able to see description and documentation of each one of these code snippets. And also that ACP edition now supports TypeScript as well as before JavaScript. Last but not least, Naia. There is a big hype around AI. Everyone has KPIs around AI. So when we start looking in DXP22 into AI, of course, we looked at OpenAI, and we've tried to understand what would that be able to help people be more productive using our tool. In the end, we got to the conclusion that what you would need is a conversational interface that would definitely help you being more productive, but also streamline some of the things that people often do, which is connecting to APIs, generate a UI. It was to import a Fiori project, legacy Fiori application into Neptune and make it mobile offline, etc. You can do that streamline. Producing a chart, or simply have a conversation saying, create me an application for this and that. And it will work for you. Of course, it gives you full observability over the code that is generated in the low code, and of course, you can and should change it. It will suggest you, proactively suggest you, different automations that you can do depending on the component that you are in. All of which combined gives you tooling that are effective, but also simple to use. Here is an example that of what Naia can do, but Naia fundamentally is not just AI. We are utilizing, as I said in the beginning, Microsoft Azure OpenAI behind it, the service. We have our own vector database with basically all our knowledge, and also code snippets. It will suggest you code snippets. If you are searching for a use case, it will suggest you to read a blog about that use case, or our success cases with our customers are in there as well. So it will use all of this as data source and it is contextualized. So depending on which tool you're in, it will provide you context of how it can be used. So Naia works as a combination of AI, but also what is called HI, human intelligence. So we do have a lot of algorithms created where we have leveraged AI to augment our algorithms as well. So we do have intellectual property, quite a bit of it in there, mixed with automation done, powered by AI. So this is available on ACP edition and Open edition. And also on the ACP edition, we are the first ones to actually have an AI assistant on ACP GUI. So the app designer on the ACP GUI has Naia. So we are the first ones actually to make that as a sidekick, side note. We are the first ones to actually add that in there, and you are able to leverage on it. Also on the cockpit, and then on the Open edition, we have ramified this on the cockpit to, for example, the theme designer to generate themes, on the launchpad to translate and generate look and feel, to make translations, to generate email templates, on the PDF designer to generate mockup data, for example, so you could test your PDF, on script editor to refactor code, to explain code, it's embedded in there, and of course on the app designer with a lot more automations. And shortly, it will come as well to the app builder to help you as a business user to say, I would like a graphic for my sales data. And you can pick the type of graphic and it would generate the graphic for you. Let's look at examples. So this is an example of the mockup data generation on the PDF designer, where on the PDF we are importing the JSON, and the importing of the JSON basically creates an interface for your PDF. And on that interface, you are able to then go to Naia. You have an automation called generate mockup data, and on the automation level, it will generate the mockup data based on that interface. And when you say set mockup data, it will automatically add it to your PDF, and you can see immediately the result using the mockup data. So you can actually much quicker create your PDF, for example, an invoice, fully branded invoice straight out of the box. We have, for example, for the email template, the ability for you to just simply generate an email template, say what kind of template. So it's empty. Let's use Naia, email generation, say the subject of your email and describe how you want it. You have also the advanced and the response level where you add variables for what you will need and also generate and basically gives you a preview of how it will look like and automatically shows you that, and of course generates the HTML code behind it, and you can then manipulate it in any way you want. To create any chart, so you have to drag and drop. There's a new component called AI chart. You drag and drop it where you want it on your application. Then you can choose what type of graphic would you like to have, and you describe the graphic. You can also give an exemplary payload for the graphic to be fed, and this will generate the code for you for the entire graphic. And you can still use AI to iterate and change that graphic if you want to. I'll show you this in practice, but say number of employees and their nationalities. So you can see full visualization of the code. And when you press go for it, gives you an example of how the application the graphic will look like when you go for it. It adds you straight into your application. And of course, you can iterate with it and change it as you need. Change colors, change type of graphic. You can basically go and do whatever you want to do. So you won't have to manipulate high charts anymore. And these are just examples of what you can do. Before we go to the key takeaways, let's go straight into development environment. So here, as you can see, is the cockpit. I have it in dark mode. You're going to see that you are on the DXP 23. You have this different background. This is like the common denominator that you'll find on DXP 23, both ACP edition and Open edition. And of course, you have embedded Naia, where you have saying, for example, how do Neptune does security, for example, and this will now use Neptune, where you can actually copy paste, you can give thumbs up, thumbs down for everything, gives you links directly to the documentation straight from here, and of course, write it in Portuguese, for example. And then it will give me the same answer in my language. It means that you can query this in any language that you want as well. What can Naia do? You can click on here. You have also here the privacy statement, as well as you have the changelog embedded, and you are able to then utilize Naia depending on which environment you're in. Also new is that on the search, on the community, on the top of the cockpit, you have this toggle that says documentation search. And if I do security, it will give me the documentation for the version of Neptune that I'm in, and I can access it directly from here. The documentation is available for everyone. You can choose, for example, if I go here to ACP edition, I can choose the version of which I can go back to 22 or 21, and I can actually go here and explore the different, for example, here, how to do a PubKit integration. Everything is here described on our documentation that is now embedded into Naia and also embedded into the different tools. But let's do some development. So here's the app designer, very simple app designer. So I'll start by creating here a new application. Of course, I can and should add it to a development package. In this case, I'm on the Open edition. I generate my application. I have here my build mode, and I have my run mode. So the build mode and run mode is quite different. But let's start by importing a standard Fiori application. You have here access directly to, for example, one. I use here a simple one, which is basically a head with a table with products. I can go in here into the source code. So I have here the XML view of that application. I could just copy, go to Neptune, and go directly in here. I can activate Naia directly by clicking on Naia, or Naia will suggest me by a small pop-up, not intrusive, that disappears after a few seconds, or you can right-click as well. So Naia is always omnipresent everywhere you do. So here I can start with a import app view. I can paste in here the app view, and what we have done is that we have generated on the fly here all the UI components from UI5, and depending on which component I'm clicking, you can see that Naia will have different options, right? Here on the left-hand side as well, we have typically here all of the different resources. I want to filter just by the resources that are not, for example, Bootstrap, so I can see just UI5 and HighCharts, for example. Here I have now my application, and I can see my application here also on the build mode with the bindings. And why do I like so much of the build mode is that I'll be able to just do everything. So click on the app, it tells me which component, loads the attributes, normal. But my customers, there's no activation, everything is done on the fly. So I can just go in here, select this button, this component, object number, and I can just do a copy of this, copy, and a paste of this component, and then I'll have that there, can drag and drop it in place, and delete. So I'll basically can have everything as I want in a single way, and I can also do a lot more. So let's play a little bit. So for example, I'll go here into my products. And here I can see connect to API. Let's say that I wanted to connect this to my customer's API. In this case, I'm on the open edition, but this is a ACP API, gives me kind of a wizard. So it bounded the API, and I can bound the data point. It will give me which fields do I want to display, create, activate, and of course on the preview, I'll have the data in here. But I can see that, for example, I do have this other things in here that I'm not so interested in. So let's make here some changes. For example, let's say that all of this, I want to be able to change my properties here. So I can go to change attributes, shows me all the attributes that are common to this. And for example, I want to do visible false. Go for it, activate, and this is immediately hidden. But let's say that now I wanted to change how these fields, I want to make it editable. I select all of the ones that I want, and they don't need to be next to each other. I could just go here, go change attributes, and oh, sorry, not what I wanted. I wanted to do a change type component. So I want to change this to a input field, activate, and I can see that, for example, now this is an input field, but let's say that I would like to have here a component that is a graphic component to this. So now I've connected, I have my standard app in here, I have connected to an API, change attributes, change properties in mass directly from the automation, so I don't have to do it manually. But can we do something cooler than this? So let's go into, let's remove, for example, this, delete. Let's go into here, into the AI chart. And let's add here the AI chart straight into here, maybe under this. Okay, so when I click here on the AI chart, it's going to say generate any chart. So it gives me here a wizard. Create me a graph with sample sales data for 2022. Go for it. It should generate, I can see the visibility here of the graphic, and I can just say, go for it, activate. And where is the graphic? It's not on the right place. Let me add it here, move it around, see if I can put it in a place where it's visible. And it was just there. It's this component that is not super nice. Say in here, will it add? There you go. But let's say that I don't want to have it as a bar chart. I want to go in here. I want to say as a column and say make it yellow. So I changed the type of graphic and made the color yellow for the graphic. And basically this didn't turn out as I wanted, but because it made the background yellow. But you got the principle. I can iterate on this, I can play with it. And of course I can, depending on which component you are in, you are able to generate new things. You can also do a UI assisted development where you can basically say what you would need in terms of UI. If you want to generate graphics, this is the way that that will be also available. I have here another question saying, is this available on the ACP edition? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can start on the ACP edition, copy a custom project that you have, or the view of the custom project that you have from Fiori, and bringing it into Neptune outside of the box. In terms of the presentation that I had, the key takeaways that we have is that we are starting going on a path to run on ACP Public Cloud. We are bringing more and more ACP BTP integration, so we definitely can assist you, customers and partners, on S4 transition with objective tooling that will help you on the transition. We cater for the productivity of developers and development teams, and we want to provide you better support for full DXP solutions. Now is the part where we go for Q&A. So here there's some questions. If you have existing media, will it migrate the files to Azure Blob automatically? No, but you do have a export to zip file of all of the artifacts. You change the configuration, and then you can import them back. And it will keep the directories, the artifacts, everything in. So we have embedded a migration tool, if you will. Another question, what steps are you taking to ensure that information returned by the new AI bot is correct? Asked it questions regarding certain features of the XP22 Open Edition 23 and got an answer that was incorrect. Maybe when you ask the question, we haven't had the documentation yet. How do we ensure? Because we have basically stored all of the documentation for 23, for 22, for 21, for ACP Edition, Open Edition into a vector database. So we provide as a context, we do a pre-query and provide it as a context to Azure OpenAI for it to help formulate an answer based on the context. If your question, and this depends a lot how you make the question, if your question is, for example, what is the latest Marvel movie, or how to do a recipe with that, it will not get anything from the context. But if you, depending on how you ask the question as well, if we don't have context for it, you need to be conscious that AI will always answer. So Naia will always give you an answer that if that answer is based on our context, or if the answer is based on the overall AI context, what we are doing is that we are scoring the answers that we are providing, the context that we're giving to the OpenAI in a way that we always try to optimize what we send in. One thing we're going to introduce is that if the context of the question that you're making, it doesn't give enough good results on the query, we will inform you that, well, we'll give you an answer, but this answer is from the same thing as you would have if you would use ChatGPT, fundamentally. The idea is that you will have a very clear differentiation between what is the context of Neptune and what is not. Regarding if the answer was incorrect, I would suggest you to just say thumbs down and give a short explanation. Why is that incorrect? We'll look into it and we'll be able to understand how can we improve our context so that next time you'll get a better answer. As you can see on the disclaimer that we have there, we are not collecting any personal identifiable information. So we only see what people are asking and how are we answering, and we see your feedback. So there is no utilization of every of any personal identifiable information. Few new questions. Can we interact multilingual with Naia? Yes, you can ask in German, you can ask in Chinese. We've tried it in Korean, in Korea, and it works perfectly fine across all geographies and on any language. So you can ask on any language, and the answer will be provided on the language that you ask. Is 22 version is compatible with 23 version, for example, Open Edition, compatible with the system ACP edition, with ACP 23? Yes, it will be compatible. Yes. So if you upgrade ACP edition for 23, and if you have an Open Edition 22, they are compatible. Yes, as long as you're utilizing the same UI5 version, that will be compatible in terms of the UI. If I ask Naia to make, for example, an app ready for production, will it remove all debugger and console logs in the code? No, it will not as of now, but this is one of the automations that we want to bring into Naia very shortly. So Naia will evolve. You don't need to upgrade anything. You're going to have new automations. We will tag them as new, or if we change something on automation, we'll tag it as updated as well. You're going to find information on that little eye, and when you are inside the automation, you can actually read more about what does the automation do as well, examples, and one of the things we want to add there is really saying, check my code for me. and you will check, for example, if there's JavaScript functions that are not being utilized, not being called, for example, or if you're using deprecated UI5 components, or if you have debugger to the point that it will remove the debugger. Let's see how far we take that automation actually as well. There's another question, will there be integration with Naia and customer code base? For example, asking questions specific to code base and use knowledge for that. Yes, not right now, but that's one of the things that we would like to have in the future, is to have an add-on where we are indexing the development packages that you select as example development packages, and that can be utilized as well as a reference. So when you say create me a application for customer details, you could look into all the applications that you have fed into that development package locally on your system, and will tell you, oh, you already have a customer details application, and here it is. Do you would like to incorporate it? Please, that's the vision we have, and we will let you know through the community and on Naia itself when that automation is available. Another question is, can Naia translate all objects on your application? And the answer is, why don't we just give it a go? So we have here all the artifacts, and I'm going to change it to Dutch. I have the option to use Google Translate, or I have the Naia Translate capability in here, and of course it will translate everything to whatever language you want. The good thing about Naia is that Naia has incorporated Neptune own enterprise Azure OpenAI licensing, so you don't need to have an Azure OpenAI license. You can just utilize Neptune, and you can read more and ask us if you have any questions about privacy, etc. Please feel free to check the privacy statement, but also to actually engage directly with us. Another question. What are the things presented today is not available if there's no connection to the internet? Naia is not available. If you don't have connection to the internet, Naia is not available. You can also, if you don't want to utilize Naia, on the system settings, you can turn off Naia. I go here to the system settings, and I have the documentation. So system settings, I can go in here into integrations, and you have here the ability to turn Naia off if you don't want to. If you want to use OpenAI, your own API key on OpenAI, this is purely when you're using OpenAI APIs on server scripts. When you're using that on server scripts, as it says here, you can use the OpenAI API in there. You have a code snippet for it, but then it will utilize the key that is here. So you don't have to expose your private key of OpenAI into every single server script. You can hold it centrally. What are the ACP BTP services can we use in 23 Neptune edition? I assume you're saying on the open edition. So we have the API Business Hub. You can expose the applications into the ACP build workplace, work zone, and also the ACP Fiori Launchpad. You can use identity management here on the authentication part. You are able to expose the applications there. You can use ACP Event Mesh. There will be a new tutorial coming soon explaining the setup of using ACP Event Mesh together with on-premise environment, going through Cloud Connector, and then integrating with Open Edition and Redis events as well, so that you can have one approach to it for it. But those are the beginning of a bigger integration with the most used services on BTP. And if you're thinking of more integrations that you see, please send us information, and we'll be happy to be able to look into it and see how we can help you providing a guide to how to incorporate those ACP BTP services. So we have reached our end time. Questions that haven't been answered here will be answered on the community. Meanwhile, I would like to thank you for attending. Here is how Naia can say, could you write a thank you note for attending Naia's presentation on behalf of Neptune Software? So Naia does that. So if you're a partner or a customer, you want to understand more about our product, you can utilize Naia directly on the cockpit, where you can ask questions, where you can say positioning, it can help you, for example, formulate an answer to internal or external entity on that responds to Neptune, so it can help you doing that in your own language. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for attending. As I said, I'm going to leave it open, the session, for a few more minutes so that you can continue to post your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them on the community as usual. This will be recorded as well, and you have access to this because you have subscribed to the webinar. So I'll just go on mute and take off camera and everything. Thank you for attending. Have a great day.